I'd like to talk to you just a little bit about Christmas carols. I didn't grow up singing Christmas carols. We didn't sing them. I'm really not sure why, but we didn't. And when I was in 4th grade, I got the biggest honor of all times by getting to sing a Christmas carol at the Christmas program. I didn't realize that I was probably singing a verse nobody else wanted to sing. It was The Friendly Beast. It was in the key of F, if you really care. And I was the donkey, shaggy and brown. I carried his mother up hill and down. I carried his mother to Bethlehem town. I was the donkey, shaggy and brown. Okay, now don't ask me why I can remember the words to that song when I have no clue what I did yesterday, and I can't tell you what I did yesterday, but I can remember the words to a song when I was in 4th grade, which would have been a few years ago. But I started singing carols when I got older and started really understanding the theology and the meat behind them. Now, we had some friends who were vegetarian, and I didn't mind cooking for them. Just leave out the meat. But if you left out the meat of the theology, that's where you get the cute songs of Christmas. And they're cute. I love Frosty, and I love Rudolph, and I love the stories behind them because they are all about the goodwill of man and spreading joy. But the carols have depth. The carols not only have depth of words and what they mean, the carols have melodies that make sense and that tunes that stay in your head. Okay, Frosty the Snowman does too, but just follow me. And I've often said, you can name a song by the first basically 4 notes. Okay, that's more than 4 notes, that's a scale. But that's Joy to the World. You can tell that song. Silent Night. So there's something about those first few notes of a song that you get. No matter what introduction you play, no matter what, you start the carols and you've got them. They're in your heart, they're in your mind, and they don't leave. And part of that is because our brains are driven by both sides of our brains. We have our quality of the math part of our brain that hits the notes and the beats and the timing, and then we have the words, and you put them together and they last because they're what you remember. And there's some of the most beautiful Christmas carols, and some lately have been written are gorgeous, but they stay with our brains because they're written simply. And it's just a very simple tune. And you think about the titles, they're very simple. Joy to the World. Oh, Little Town of Bethlehem. The First Noel. Away in the Manger, Silent Night. And when you go to find out the history behind some of these songs, the depth is so rich. And one of the first years I was teaching, we did Silent Night. And part of it was a skit, a play, telling of how Silent Night was written, and the organ broke, and they needed a song for Christmas Eve, and he had written this poem to his friend, and they picked up the guitar because that's the only instrument they had with the organ broken, and sang it for Christmas Eve. And then when the organ fixer repairman, I don't know what you call organ repairman, came through, they told him the story, and there is such rich heritage. So as you enjoy the season and as you turn on, because Sirius Radio has Christmas all the time now, spend more time listening to the songs that have the meat and the potatoes of our faith walk of Christmas than just the last Christmas I gave you my heart, the very next day you gave it away. That song, oh my goodness, don't start me. But it's also fun to just sit and do the fun songs, the Frosty the Snowmans, the Jolly Old Saint Nick. Because when you look at some of those songs, you can see the goodness of mankind, you can see the love, you can compare so much of them to Jesus. And I'm going to really be fishing now down a creek, and it's frozen right now, but think about Frosty the Snowman. And just think about the fun that song is, basically. And you think about, in Minnesota, it's not a big deal. We think about snow all the time, but you think about a place that doesn't have snow, it probably doesn't make any sense. But I want you to think about the hat, because the hat is how he came to life one day. That's the Holy Spirit in our lives. And there's times when the Holy Spirit invades our life and we are alive and doing things that we normally wouldn't do. And then the hat goes away. And we do something to remove the Holy Spirit's presence as the big part of our life, because we think that was us that was doing it. So listen to the songs of Christmas. Listen to the fun songs. How can you apply them to Jesus? Listen to the songs talking about goodwill to men. How can you be that goodwill? Think about the Silent Night, and if you've ever, I got the honor of being where when my first son was born, being there in the room with them. It was not a silent night, because there's pain involved in childbirth, but it was a beautiful night. And as I walked out later to go to my room out in the shed, which they have a nice big machine shed, and they have their mother-in-law suite there, you look up at the star, you experience things. And when God's peace invades your life, it's a silent night. It's a beautiful night. It's a quiet night, because it's in our heart that we get all animated and worked up. So take a look at the carols and listen to them differently. It's just one you've always heard before. Listen. And the fun ones, how can I really relate that to who Jesus is and what he did for me? And how can I allow that Holy Spirit to be that thing that makes me come alive and dance in the street and bring joy to everybody else's life? Just some thoughts. Have a good one.